G'day folks, welcome along to another video tutorial in Microsoft's MakeCode Arcade. In this lesson we are going to be looking at creating a side-scrolling runner game. And basically you're this little dinosaur that is running from left to right on the screen, and all you need to do is jump over sections of lava in the road. If you run into the lava, then it's game over. Your job is to keep going until you get to the end of the game screen. You've also got some little stars to collect along the way that will earn you some points, and that's about it. So it's a fairly simple game that you can expand on once you finish this tutorial. I'll give you a quick demo of how this game works first of all. We'll go through two parts. I'll show you how to, die first of all. So you can jump like that. When you hit the lava, it's game over. This time I will play it and try and make it all the way to the end. You can see the little stars coming across the screen there at random times. You'll see my score in the top right there going up. We're nearly at the end now. Got a few more lava pits there to jump over. And that's the end. So it's only a short game. Obviously one you can expand on, as I said, once you are finished. Okay, so let's rip into Microsoft MakeCode Arcade now and get started. So head over to that website that we usually do, arcade.makecode.com, and make yourself a new project here on the left by pressing that orange button. Give it the name today, Dino Run, and click on Create. Okay, now like always, the first thing I set up is the background. So in your scene drawer over here, can I get you to bring out the background color and set it to a light blue, which is going to be the color of the sky. Okay, from here we're going to add in the road that our little dinosaur is going to be running along. And it's also going to be, part of the background. We're not going to use a background image though this time. What we're going to do is scroll down in the scene drawer here until we get to the tile maps section. And we're going to use this first block that says set tile map to, and I want you to click on this empty box. And you're going to draw your own tile map here. Okay, now we're going to make it a bit bigger than just the 16 by 16 pixels, I think it is, as you can see down here in the bottom left where those numbers are. I'm going to get you to change the first number here, which is the X or horizontal axis, and I'm going to change it to 100 pixels. It's going to make it really wide on the screen. The other number there, the number 16, in the second box, I want you to do half that and make it 8. Okay, and that will just reduce the size vertically. Okay, so this is our game screen now. Okay, we're basically going to have the dinosaur starting up here on the left, and he's going to run all the way through to the right to finish the game. Now to put in all the bits and pieces for this background, like the road and the lava pits, what we're going to use are some of these existing tiles in the galleries here that come in MakeCode Arcade. So you've got the forest here, you can go through and look at different tiles. You've got the aquatic ones, you've got the dungeon ones, and the ones we're going to be using are the miscellaneous ones. Okay, the one we want is this road that runs along the bottom of the screen. Just click on that, and you can either use the pencil tool to just click and put along the bottom, but a faster way to do it is to grab the line tool here and just simply click and drag all the way to the very end there. Whoops, make sure you get your line straight, unlike me. There we go, I did miss one little spot there, but that's the road that our dinosaur is going to run along, and in that road we are going to put in some lava pits. So if you go back a little slide here, you've got two different types of lava. We're going to use them both in our game. So when the game starts, the dinosaur basically falls down here and starts running across. Now, one of the most important game design principles you should be following is that your game needs to start simple. Okay, let the user just get used to the controls, get a hang of the game first before you make it a little bit more complex. So early on in the piece, maybe just put like one piece of lava there, have a decent sized gap before you put in the next lava pit. I might make it 2, just progressively getting a little bit harder. And then we might just go back to 1 here, but just close the gap up a little bit so it's not quite as big of a gap. And then it's just your job now to go along and add in more lava as you go, making it get a little bit trickier as the game goes on. So you can close the gap a bit more, you can put in up to 3 blocks of lava together. Any more than that will probably just fall into it. So we're just going to add in a few of these. Put one there as well. couple more towards the end here just to make it tricky. Might do 3 there to finish off. That'll do, I think. Okay, so you can kind of see, fairly easy start, big gaps between the lava pits, gives the person time to jump over them and get used to the controls, and then as we come in further down the game, the lava gets closer together and there's some larger pits to jump over. Okay, that looks pretty good. What we want to do at the end here is put a wall across the end that the player can run into. We're going to get that from the dungeon, and that wall is just going to be the finish line. So from the dungeon, I'm just going to grab one of these bluey greeny coloured things and just put it down the side here, like so. That looks pretty good. One last thing we need to do now is create some walls. Okay, these are the walls here. When you turn it on, it will highlight red, and you can click and drag and put walls into your game so your player cannot either run through them or fall through them. So we need to highlight all of the roads, not the lava, because we want the player to actually fall into the lava if they don't jump. You'll also notice that at the very start I put a line of red, and the reason I put a wall there is, well, you're going to see a little bit later on, we're going to have stars coming across the screen that we can collect to earn some points, and I'm going to get the stars to disappear once they hit that wall back here on the left hand side of the screen. I'll talk more about that when we get to it though. Alright, so I think we've got all the walls that we need in. We don't need to worry about making a wall out of this last section, finish line, so don't worry about that. Just click on done once you've got that in, and in a moment you should see in the simulator, there we go, we've got our tile map appearing in the game. Now it looks like the road has been cut off a bit there, and that's okay. Don't stress about that, just leave it as it is. We could change it if you wanted to, but it's not going to be causing any issues. Next thing we're going to do is bring our main player sprite into the game, so just go to your sprites drawer and bring out that first block of code like usual. I'm going to rename this to Dino. Oops, I just spelled it Dino. There we go. And we're going to set the dino to a particular sprite in the gallery there. Just scroll down until you see these yellow dinosaurs, and you can pick one of these ones here. They all look fairly similar. I'm just going to go with the first one to make it easy, and I'm going to use this flip horizontal tool, little triangles up the top, just to turn him around so he's facing the right way to the right, and you'll see him appear in the middle of your screen in the simulator there in just a moment. It is going to be kind player, so just leave that drop down box as it is. Okay, next thing I want to do with this dinosaur is add a little bit more detail to it, and what I mean by that is we're going to animate it. So I'm going to make it look like his little legs are running along the screen. So there is an animation drawer here in your MakeCode toolbox, and we're going to grab the first block of code here and put it underneath, and we're going to animate the dino. Okay, now the frames, we need to tell the game which pictures we want to use in the animation. So if you go to the gallery again, you don't need to scroll too far. Look over here and you'll see these yellow dinosaurs with the little video camera icon in the bottom left corner. Okay, if you hover over them, you'll see what they're going to look like. Okay, it's this one here that we want, the one facing to the right that looks like he's running. Okay, and you can see the different frames that make up that animation. Okay, and if you press the little play button at the top, you'll get a little glimpse of what he's going to look like. Now he's moving pretty slow. Okay, so we're going to speed him up by changing that 500 in the top right corner there to 50. And that will make it seem like he's actually running. Click on done, and you should see in a moment your little dinosaur up here, not animated. And you're like, what's going on here? So if you press play, you'd expect it to be animated. If you look closely, as soon as you press play, his feet move. So he's animated once and then he just stops. And the reason he's not continuing to run is because this loop option here is turned off. If we turn that on, the animation will just repeat itself over and over. And as you can see in the simulator now, our little dinosaur is going for a run. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Next thing we're going to do is get our dinosaur into its start position. And to do that, we need to go to the scene option here and come down to the tile map section again, and we're going to place where it says time map options, we're going to grab the first one. We're going to place the dino sprite on top of tile map column. I'm going to put column 1. So at the moment it's on column 0, which is right against the left hand side of the page. You can bring it out a little bit if you want by typing in 1. You'll see that that moves him over a little bit. Okay, actually, no, I'll leave him there. That's alright. I remember we've got an invisible wall coming down here to stop the stars from going any further, so we might just keep him off that wall so we don't get any glitches. And row is how far down the page we want him to start. You could have him on row 5 or 6. I'm going to have him on row 5 to start with, which will be just above the road. And then when you play the game, when we put a bit more code in a sec, he'll fall down onto the road and then start running. Okay, so let's get this dinosaur running by going to the sprites drawer now. And we are going to set the dino sprite. I'm going to get rid of that X value there, and we're going to put in the acceleration for the Y axis. Now this is basically when he jumps in the air and falls down. Okay, how fast he falls down and how high he jumps. I think it is. Let me have a look. It's one of the two. Oh, it's how fast he falls to the ground. So we basically put gravity into our game. So if we make that like 100, let's see what the difference is. So he falls a bit slower. Let's make it 500. Yeah, he falls pretty quick. Okay, so we'll make that 300 for the Y-axis acceleration speed. So he's falling down at speed 300. I think that's like 300 pixels per second or something like that. The next thing we're going to do is go back to sprites here, and we are going to change this velocity. Okay, this is the speed that our dinosaur is going to be moving at. So you can see him running along there now. Speed 50 is probably a bit slow. Let's double that and see how fast that goes. Yeah, it's pretty good speed. So you might have noticed our little dinosaur just run away then. So he fell onto the road and then just bolted off the screen. So we might want to get our camera to follow our dinosaur, which is an easy option to do in the scenes here. We've just got a camera follow option. Let's put it at the bottom and make sure the camera is following the dino. And then you can watch it and you'll see the camera puts the dino in the middle of the page and he follows along. Okay, you'll see there that the lava, it's not solid because we didn't make it into a wall, so the player can fall through that. We're going to make it so that when he touches the lava in just a moment, that he does die. Okay, but we'll get to that shortly. I think that's all I want to put into the on start section. The next bit I want to do is just put some clouds into the sky. You have a look at the game there. It's pretty boring. Okay, there's this huge empty blue gap up the top here. So if we just put like a little cloud that comes across the sky every few seconds, it'll just add a little bit more to our game. Okay, so I'm going to go into this game drawer and pull out the one that says on game update, and I might bring a cloud across maybe every 1 second. Okay, we are going to go to sprites and set up a new one here. Give it a name called cloud. Oh, I made another typo. There we go. So we're going to set the cloud to sprite, and there's no pictures of clouds in the gallery, so you're going to have to draw your own. So just grab that pencil there, make sure your colour's white, and just squiggle a cloud onto the screen. However you want your cloud to look. Yeah, make it look however you want. That's probably a good enough cloud for me, so I'm just going to click on done. And I'm going to change the kind of that sprite. I'll add a new kind and just call it sky. Click OK. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I've created the sprite, or the cloud sprite. What we're going to do now is get it moving across the screen. So we need to set the position of this cloud first of all. So we're going to say set cloud position to X, and we're going to put in here, where is it? This one here where it says my sprite X. We're going to put Dino X, and then we're going to put plus 120. So we're going to have to go to the math option for that. I'm going to have to do a bit of rearranging here. So basically what it's going to do here is it's going to look at the current position of the dinosaur and add 120 pixels to it. So it's going to be actually just off to the right of the screen. That's where our clouds are going to spawn from. Okay, and then they're just going to fly across the page when we give it a bit more code in just a moment. Now on the y-axis, how far down the page do we want it to be? So instead of having the cloud come across in the same location all the time, what we might do is go to our math drawer and pick out the block that says pick random. And we're going to put a cloud to appear somewhere randomly between 10 and 50 pixels there on the y-axis. Okay, so that'll be up in the sky there. They could appear up really high or come down a little bit lower, and they'll just appear at random locations. Okay, we'll test this out in a moment. We just got to get the cloud actually moving, so we've got to give it a bit of velocity. So let's set the cloud velocity here. The velocity on the x-axis will be -10. Remember, we've got to go in the negatives to make it move across from right to left. If we're in the positives, it would go left to right, but we want this number to be in the negatives, so it moves across to the left of our screen. And the y, we're just going to leave as 0, because we don't want the cloud traveling in an upwards or downwards direction. It should just go straight across. Let's give that a test run. We'll see what happens. There we go. You can see the cloud coming across the screen there at the moment. Okay, so he's going a little bit slow for my liking, so -10. We might need to speed up a bit. See how -50 looks. Oh, now they're coming in hot. Probably a little bit too fast. I wonder why I was going so slow before. Drop it to -20 and see how that looks. Good enough. Let's roll with it. We can always change it later if it doesn't work. Okay, but that's our background all done. Alrighty, so the next thing we might do is get that lava collision event working. So when our dinosaur hits the lava, the game is over. So we've actually got to get him jumping over the lava after that as well, so we can continue with the game. But let's do this collision event with the lava. We're going to go to the scene option for this, and we're going to scroll down here and pick out this block from the tile map section that says on sprite of kind player. When it overlaps with the lava at location, what are we going to do? Basically, we're going to say that it's game over. And you will lose if you hit the lava. Simple as that. Now that's just got one of the lava blocks. What we need to do is duplicate that code, drag it down and change it to the other piece of lava. So you've got both kinds of lava catered for here. So if you hit either piece of lava, then it will be game over. Okay, now we haven't got any sounds in our game yet, but we are going to put some sounds in shortly. So what I'm going to do when the game is over, I do want those sounds to stop. So from the music drawer, can you just bring out the stop all sounds and just drop that in to both of those? Okay, even though it won't do anything right now. Let's give that a test run, but I don't know why it missed that first bit of lava. Might be going a bit too quick, but it definitely works when it hits that next bit of lava. What we might do is go to our tile map and add in a second piece of lava here maybe, and we'll see what happens. I'll delete one of those. We'll put in this second piece of lava. See if that makes any difference. And our little fella hits the lava. Yeah, there we go. So maybe just need 2 blocks of lava at the start there. 1 block might not be enough, so I'll just have to look into that and test it later in the game. Alright, so we got that collision event working. What we might do next is get the jump working so that our little dinosaur can jump in the air and start to jump over that lava. Okay, so to do that we're going to go to the scene option here and scroll down, and we're looking for the one that says on sprite kind of player that hits the wall. Scroll down a bit here, so it's this one here. Okay, remember in our tile map, let's go back to it, we drew this red wall that went across the road. Okay, that's what I'm referring to when I say when our player is hitting the wall. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make our dinosaur jump. So let's go into sprites here, and we're going to set the velocity of the Y. Where is it? Here it is. So at the moment it says set dino X to 0. We're going to change it to velocity Y. This is going to help him jump up in the air. And we're going to have to set it to -100. Not sure why that game keeps playing. I'll turn that sound off for a minute. And you can see our little dinosaur cruising along. Every time he hits the wall, he jumps 100 spaces in the air. You watch. Here we go. So there he goes. Kind of working, but not kind of working. We've got to get a bit more code in there before we get it finished off. And to do that, we're going to go to the logic and use an if statement. Okay, it's going to be if then. So what we're going to say, if the A button is pressed, then we're going to jump. That's the only time we should be jumping, when we press this A button, or on our keyboard on the computer it's going to be a space bar. Okay, so we need to go to our controller here and look for if A button is pressed. And we need to say, is it equal to true? So I'm actually going to need some logic here. Bring out the equal sign. So if A button is pressed, and that's going to be equal to true. Is there a true there? There's a true just there. We'll drop that in. Okay, so if A button is pressed, then the dino will jump 100 spaces in the air. Let's give it a test run. Here we go. And that's looking good. He's able to jump easily over all that lava, which is good. Just want to get to the end and see what happens when we hit that final hurdle, which is that green wall. There we go. So he just basically stops there. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so we haven't got too much more to go, one would think. So I guess we want to have some little stars to collect. We'll put them in shortly. We want to actually have a collision when we hit the finish line to say the game is over. Might actually do that first of all. It's going to be a quick one. So you've already seen in here when we hit the lava that it's game over. Let's duplicate by right-clicking on one of those and duplicating it. And we'll just say when we hit the green wall, we'll stop all sounds, and instead of having game over lose, we'll have game over win. That's what I reckon. I might put that down the bottom here. And that way when we hit that green wall, then the player has won the game. We'll test that out a bit later on, but that's the right code, so we'll just leave that as is. Okay, now what I want to do here is put in the little stars that come across the screen. They're going to be very similar to the clouds, I guess you could say. They're just going to come across at random times every few seconds, and we'll just adjust the height ever so slightly so the dinosaur may be able to jump to get some. Other times he'll just be able to run straight into them to get points. Okay, so let's do this by going to the game option here and doing another on-game update. I might do a bit of a random here, so I'm going to go to maths and pick a random time, anywhere between 1000 milliseconds and 2000 milliseconds. So that's every 1 to 2 seconds we're going to make a star come across the screen. And we're going to set this sprite up. We'll just make a new name for it called star. And there is a star in the gallery that you can use. There's a couple of stars, I think. The little one's probably the one you want. So here's the little one just here. Click on done. Okay, and the kind of sprite that is, we'll probably have to make a new one up. We'll add a new kind and call it points. That's how you're going to get points. So I'm going to set the star sprite to points. Okay, next thing is going to be pretty similar to the clouds. We're just going to make it move across the screen. So first up in the sprites here, we're going to set the position of the star first of all. So we need the position X and Y. There it is. So set, don't make it dino, make sure it says star. Set position of the star. Now it's going to be similar to what we've got here with the dino. We're going to have to go into the maths first of all and pick out the plus sign and put it in there. Then we're going to go back to the sprites here. And we're going to get the dino sprite. Actually, I might just copy and paste it from there, duplicate it. Just right click on the word dino and duplicate it. Dump it there. Oops. It'll be plus 120. Alright, so the starting X position, so along the horizontal axis of the star is going to be wherever the dinosaur is, plus 120 pixels, so it'll be just off the edge of the page. Okay, and then the Y position, it's going to be something like this, pick random. So I'm just going to right click and duplicate that pick random. And I'll just up the value to 70 to 100. Okay, so we're going to set the star position to X. Oops, I should say star. No, that should say dino. I wasn't right. We'll leave it as dino. Plus 120. Oh, it's going to be dino X. Like up here. I was wondering why I had this little error here. So sorry, I'm just going to pull that out and duplicate this whole thing. That's what I'm looking for. So the X position of the dino, so wherever it is on the page, plus 120. I've got rid of that little error in there now. That looks better. Sorry if I confused you there. But basically we're going to have a dino in the middle of the page. The star's going to appear 120 pixels in front of it and then come flying back across the screen because we're about to set the velocity of that star. So change it to set star velocity to, we'll have it moving at -100 speed. The Y value will be 0 because we don't want the star to be gliding up or down as it comes across the screen. It should just move straight across the X-axis there. Okay, that's looking good. And if we just play it, we'll just test it. There's one star. There's another. You can see they're coming in at different heights. Not by much, but just enough. They're coming in fairly frequently too. We can slow that down a bit. I might go every 1 to 4,000 milliseconds. That will have a bit of a bigger gap between the time in which the stars come out. That's a bit better. It's a little bit too frequent before. The last thing I want to do is basically kill off the stars once they hit the edge of the page. If we don't, we're going to get a mass build-up of stars outside of our game screen. I guess over time, if we were to play this game for a long time, that would slow our game down and probably eventually cause it to crash. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set the star to destroy on wall. Where will I find this one? There it is. I think it's this one. Let's just try it out. So set the star to destroy on wall and make it on. Okay, if we go back to my tile map just for a second, remember I put this wall in at the very start. That's that red wall just there. So eventually the stars are going to move across the page. When they hit that wall, they will delete themselves. And that way we don't have an excess amount of stars just floating around in space somewhere outside of our game screen, causing it to slow down. Okay, so that's good. Next thing we need to do is put in a bit of a collision event. So when the dinosaur and the stars collide, what do we want it to do? So we need to do one of those, they call them overlaps in this game, in this program. So here it is here. So on sprite kind of player, okay, when it overlaps with another sprite kind of points. So when the player overlaps or collides with the points, or in other words, when the dinosaur collides with the star, then what do we want it to do? Well, first up, we're going to change the score by 1. Actually, in fact, we haven't even set the score up yet, so maybe on, just very quickly, back in the on start section, so when our game starts, just at the very top, set your score to 0. That way it'll put a little score up in the top right-hand corner of your game screen. There it is there. That way it'll keep track of your score. So we're going to get 1 point every time we collect a star. We might play a sound as well to show that we have collected it. I'll try this one here. We'll just play it in the background. And from the gallery there, I think it's the jump sound. Yeah, we'll do the jump sound. The duration, I think that's fine. So yeah, close that off. So we're just going to play that little sound in the background each time we run into a star. And then we will destroy that star as well. That way the star just can't keep moving across the page after we've collided with it. As soon as we collide with it, it will destroy itself. Let's give that a test run and see if it works. Oops. Got to try and collect the star and not run into the lava. There we go. Just turn the sound off. So I'll turn the sound back on, just make sure that's working. Oops, missed that one. There we go. Yeah, that's working. And we're getting points as well. You can see that 1 point I got for collecting that 1 star. Alright, so I think we could be all done here, folks. I'm just trying to have a look through the code, make sure I'm happy with it. I don't think there's anything else we need to do. I guess we can give it a test run and see. We'll give it a full test run. So we'll try and die first of all. That works. Gave us a score. Then eventually we died. Let's try and win the game now. We'll collect a few stars along the way. Oh, that's the trick. It's easy enough to play this game, but if you want to collect stars and earn points, that's when it becomes an issue with this lava. A little bit trickier than it seems. I'm not going for points this time, I'm just trying to get to the end. Beautiful. I think we are all done, folks. So there you have it. You have just made yourselves a little side-scrolling game. What I'd like to see you do now is try and expand on it. It is pretty basic at the moment. Has shown you a few new tricks, but I want to see you try and add a bit more into the game. Maybe you could add some extra items to collect, or maybe some extra items to avoid. Okay, you could add a life system in there if you wanted to. You could even stretch the screen out wider than those 100 pixels and see if you can make the game a little bit longer and a little bit more complex. Just remember to start it simple and let it progressively get harder as the game goes on. Anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video tutorial.